Hi, this is Melanie for the Pardesi podcast, and I'm joined by Samantha Ryan, who is known on YouTube as Samantha Jo Goes. And you're also a Quora star. How many followers do you have on Quora now? It's some insane amount.
I wouldn't call me a star.
Yes, you are.
But I think I'm actually really, really close to hitting 30,000.
Oh my God.
So I'm like 200 or 300 away, I think. But
oh my gosh. And you
really
are, I want to know, do you just do little coffee breaks at work and answer a couple of questions? Like, how do you do so many questions in a day?
I do it, well, I get in at 8, and then I have a pretty big lull until like 9:30. So I just kind of like do my like catch-up tasks and then play on Quora, and I hope my boss isn't watching this.
Because I was just like, okay, see, Samantha and I are in the same time zone. We're not in the same city, but we live in the same state of Illinois. And so I can tell, I'm like, okay, she's doing some of these during the day, during the work day. You know what? I don't know if you're familiar with Margaret. I don't call it Bollywood, but she has the kind of job where they could be really busy and then there can just be lulls. And so she does a lot of her blog posts at work because she might have to, or can respond to comments or whatever, because if she has a 10-minute lull, then she has time to do a little bit. So I'm no judging.
I used to have a job actually that I literally did nothing. I don't know why it was a job. And so that was when I was building my blog. I don't use it anymore, but I was building my blog at that point. And I think I made like an intro guide to Bollywood movies, and I made like references and links and like the whole shebang. I went crazy, and I think I spent like 10 hours writing it, all done over 2 days at work.
Well, so I found you first on YouTube, and then we became friends on Twitter and so forth. You do some movie reviews, but you've scaled back because you're writing a book, right?
Yeah. I'm writing a book. I've been to India 7 times. So 2 of the times that I went, I was teaching in a village in Kerala. And it's just an experience that a lot of people haven't had. And also there are a lot of really negative stereotypes about India, which I've worked a little bit to combat. But I just thought it would be really good to have like, you know, a first-person recount of actual experiences that I've had to kind of put a new, like, I'm so sorry. Like,
no. Well, when you answer in Quora, a lot of people are like asking things about a foreigner's perspective of things in India, or someone will ask sort of an ignorant question about safety in India or whatever, and you can speak from personal experience because you've been there 7 times, which is incredible. Oh my gosh.
And to the point that actually I was accused on Quora a couple of times, and once on Twitter yesterday, of being my fiance impersonating me.
No, I could tell your voice. I know it's you. Even in your writing, I can tell your writing voice.
I'm a hologram.
So Thumb, who has now been revealed, there was actually a news article about you on a Tamil Nadu news site about your engagement, because people find it so incredible. You are earnestly trying to learn Tamil, and a lot of your Twitter posts I can understand because you're writing in Tamil and you're trying to have conversations with people and learn the language, which I think is awesome. So, how did you meet your now fiance? He lives in Illinois.
Oh yeah, he actually, for his privacy, but for your knowledge, he works at your alma mater, which is pretty cool, small world. And, it's just, we had some mutual friends. We went to an event. We were both like the loner, awkward, shy types, and we became friends.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the first things he said to me, he was like, "Do you like Indian food?" So he asked me what my favorite Indian food was. And I said north or south because like my answer will change. And he was like, "Wait, you know the difference?" So then after that, we kind of became good friends.
And so this latest trip, you went and you met his family for the first time, and all of the pictures were so incredible. You look so beautiful in your saris. Oh my gosh, you looked incredible. But you got to meet his family, and I know there was a lot of nervousness, but I think it looks like everything went off extremely well. And what was the name of the ceremony that you had for the engagement?
It was called Puvaikam, I think. It's not an actual engagement. I had to issue a an edit saying that I
Okay.
got it wrong because he corrected me. But it's basically like a bride viewing ceremony. So like
Okay.
his family will come and like view me.
And you passed.
I don't really know all the intricacies of it, but it was fun. I got to meet everyone.
Yeah, and the little niece was so adorable. She was so cute.
She is. I love her. She's amazing. And his whole family. Like I was actually because you hear stories of like interstate, interlanguage, intercaste, interreligion marriages and like how the families will kind of cause problems and I was so worried. But
Yeah.
like they're all genuinely like amazing people and I'm really lucky.
And probably, but they not many. Did many of them speak or understand English? So have they followed you, and did they understand any of your videos, or did they watch them or anything?
I had put my channel on private for a little bit because I was getting comments like, why aren't you posting? And I just felt really guilty, so I put it on private. And his sister actually found it and she was like, is this you? And so I was like, yeah, it's me. Because I was kind of nervous about it because I didn't know.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get
But
it.
it's all right.
So the marriage is coming up in India later this spring in May. Is that right?
Yes, in May. I'm so excited.
You've
I'm
got.
terrified.
Well, I can understand why you're slowing down on YouTube because that is a very short time span to plan and get everything together for a wedding and write a book. And I think you're going to school and you're
Yeah.
working full time, like,
I don't know where I get the time.
and becoming a chorus star and and everything. So in between that, you live in a town that doesn't have, I think, as many Indian movies as I do, but you do get some of the bigger releases. So what we're going to talk about today, you see Hindi films, Tamil, some Telugu, because you saw Bharat Ani
Yeah.
Nenu, right?
Yes,
But
I
I'm
love Mahesh.
Yeah. And then do any Malayalam films come to your town, or is that you only have to watch? Do you watch any of those, or just?
Really, do you remember how big Premam was?
Yeah.
That movie only came for one showing on one day.
Wow. Wow. But it did come. That was
Yeah.
like I watched that by ordering a DVD from India, so I wasn't like cognizant of There's one theater in all of Chicago that has 6 screens that only plays Indian movies.
Really?
Oh yes, it's called Movie Max. It's in Niles, and yeah, so you need to sometime take a road trip. But it is they do the intermissions, which is wonderful.
Really? Like the whole, how long of an intermission? We get like 5 minutes.
Like 10 minutes. I mean, enough to run out to the bathroom and come back. So, or, grab another drink or whatever. So it's wonderful. And that's the only place that plays Malayalam films. Now, it may be 2 or 3 weeks delayed, but some of the big releases we get it the same day as in Kerala, which is wonderful.
Did you get the Niven movie that came out recently? I forgot the name.
I'm blanking on the name too, but the one with Mohanlal, yes, we did.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I was able to see that. And yeah, it's really, I mean, they have, not only they have samosas or whatever, but they have mango lassi, pakora, like all sorts of Indian snacks and
I
stuff
want
too.
to live there.
Well, for me, it's like a 45-minute drive on the highway, but it's worth it because it's, if I want to go see Niven or Dulkar, or I just went to see the recent Fahad Faisal movie, Neon Prakashan, which when it comes streaming, I would highly recommend it. It's very, very good. And so, yeah, it's worth it for those, but I'm lucky because I have a movie theater that always has a Hindi movies playing. And then this one 5 minutes from my house in Woodridge has got always has a South Indian movie playing, or usually does. And like right now, I was like, this is insanity that they have 5. I've never seen them. 2 maybe, but not 5. But anyway, and then if it's a bigger release, some of the other movie theaters in the suburbs around will carry, like Petta, I saw at a movie theater that doesn't always have Indian films, but it did that particular time. So it's interesting. Or like a Shah Rukh Khan or a Salman Khan movie, if it's bigger, then it will play in more theaters. So, Yeah, like Kathy Gibson, who is also not Debsy, has a website called
Oh, I love
accessbollywood.net.
her.
Yeah, I love her. And I was like, wait a minute, she's in my town. So, like, we'll frequently go to the first Hindi showing together, and I'll see her there. But it's wonderful because every week she puts out, I subscribe to her, and she puts out alert saying, okay, here's what all of in the Chicago area, what movies are playing and which theaters. Which is as soon as they're announced, like on Wednesday, then I can kind of like, okay, now I know what's playing near me. Anyway, so I was able to see Petta this week, and so were you, almost the first day, I think. So. And wasn't it, I love going, especially that first day crowd for a South Indian movie, because it's all the whistles and the whoops and hollers. Did they do that at your theater too? Does everybody get really into it?
We actually have a pretty small Tamil community that they have a club or something. I don't know, but they all have matching shirts and
Oh,
flags
wow.
and
Wow.
confetti, and they come in like a gang to the theater. And I think for the Vishwasam first day first show, that group brought a cake. I didn't see a cake at mine, but I only got there like 5 minutes before it started. They may have had a cake. But like just there was dancing. Like the energy is just amazing.
I think the most amazing I've ever seen was going to see Bahubali 2, and there was a group of ladies, like 5 or 6 ladies, who had saris that were the movie poster.
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious.
I want one.
I will send you the picture. Like, it was amazing. And I was like, I have to take a picture with you. And you're like, you know what Bahubali is? I'm like, oh, you want? Oh, yeah, I do.
That's amazing. I wonder if they had to like custom order or if there was some
I don't
fans
know.
for
They
it.
must have. They must have. But it was absolutely amazing. So that is, I never seen confetti though. So did the theater get upset though? Do people, because people do confetti?
They have signs on the doors that say please no confetti, and still the people are standing in the front throwing the confetti, and then at the interval the management or some of the workers, whoever, come and sweep it up from the front, and then they put more. It's just I feel bad for them, but it makes the vibe so much better. I love it.
Oh yeah, I've never been to one with confetti, but of course I've seen all the videos of people doing it in India, and I also was told like the reason. Well, actually, it was Korka Nala. Matt had an interview with Madhavan, and he was talking about how first day first show, like you can't hear anything because everybody
Mm-mm.
is screaming so much. Like that's why you have to go see the movie again, because you won't have heard half the dialogues because of everybody shouting and screaming and whistling. So someday, one day, I will have that experience. When you were in India, were you able to see any films this time?
No.
Oh, too
I
busy.
I left like 3 days before the 2.0 came out, so I just missed a first day for show. But I've heard like a lot of people tell me not to do it, even though I really want to, um, just because there's so many people and they're so rowdy and everything that
Yeah.
I shouldn't go.
It's
I
yeah, I
want to
mean
go.
recently there was one where like one of those tall standing posters, like
Yeah,
it fell down and people got injured because
I
they
think
were,
5.
yeah, because they were trying to pour the milk and lay a garland or something, and it just like toppled over. So yeah, they look very unstable.
It's just so, and the scaffolding in India isn't done the same way ours is. It's literally sticks with some. It's like a stronger twine holding them around. It's not like
Yeah.
how ours is, and it's
Yeah.
just every time I see it, it just makes me so
Yeah,
worried.
like exactly. It's it's nerve wracking just watching it, even if it doesn't fall over. You're like, it's about to. So, what did you think of Petta? Because I have not. I've seen a handful of Rajinikanth movies. I've seen Telepathy, so I've seen at least one of the ones in his prime, in the 80s, and then, or is that 90s? And then I've seen Kabali and Kali in the theater and 2.0, but I just felt like you could tell the director was such a fan because
Oh,
it just had, I mean, evidently, reading other reviews, I'm seeing that there were so many references to older films. And it wasn't just doing the cigarettes or the sunglasses one time. It was just, even like opening the gate. I guess that was a reference to an older film. And just so many things that were an homage to past films. And even kind of the plot, I guess, too. But I love the flashback when he had the big mustache. I mean, even I can appreciate it. Was like, this is awesome.
Did you use the Facebook filter that Sun Pictures made
No,
up, where you could like put your face on it?
no.
Yeah, it was like a filter, like a Snapchat filter, where you could get the mustache and this gold chain with a saying on it.
No, I just found my own sunglasses to get
I saw in your
to get Rajnified.
It was amazing.
I love that tagline. It was just because that's really what the movie is about. And so I guess Bharadwaj Rangan, the big South Indian film critic, like he only gave the movie 2.5 stars, and he was just like, yes.
Why?
But he just said, oh, it has all these cliches and whatever, and he's like, I wish we had seen more of this director, a better script and whatever. And I think he's being crucified on Twitter and in comments because
he deserves to be crucified.
It was so much fun. It was just such an enjoyable movie, and it had twists and turns. I mean, maybe for people who have watched films since they were 4 years old and they've seen these over and over again, but I was caught up. I'm like, okay, I know what's going to happen here. I don't know if we should say, okay, the movie's been out, so we can talk spoilers at this point, because I loved your post. Didn't you feel a little bit
I felt so bad
for Vijay's character? What was his character's name? Jittu?
Jittu.
Yeah, didn't you? I did, because you could just see he was Nawaz Siddiqui's sort of bastard son, and he was just sort of the muscle, and the son from a natural marriage was the one that always got everything. In the film, you see that Vijay's character had been promised to get some sort of political role, and he's like, oh yeah, I gave it to I can't remember the older son's name, but yeah, he got it this time. It'll be your turn next time, but it's always like, go out and beat these people up for me, Nawaz's, and then you could just see the hunger when he thought, okay, Petta could be my father, and he really wanted it to be true, and not that his dark reality of not being really loved for his whole life. He was like, getting the hugs from Petta and all of that, and then to have the final twist. Oh,
I just felt so bad for him. Like, yeah, he wasn't the greatest person, but he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, I just was so excited to see Vijay acting with Rajinikanth and with Nawaz Siddiqui. It was
I'm obsessed with Vijay Sethupathi. Like,
I am totally obsessed. I mean, it's one of those where I didn't realize. I think it was Vikram Vedha that I kind of went, whoa, because I had seen Pizza, and I didn't really connect that this guy with the gray hair and beard and everything was that same young dude that I had seen in Pizza,
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of catching up to do on his films, but
Have you seen the, I forget the name, but it's like the marriage amnesia movie?
I have heard about that because that was the director of 96. So that was his real life. And he was the cinematographer in that film. So that's what I was hearing. I was hearing about it. So yeah, that's definitely the next VJ movie I'm going to try to catch up on, because, oh my gosh. I mean, see, he had been doing all of these powerful, like Vikram Vedha, sort of these gangster roles. But when I saw him in 96 this year,
I cried so much.
I cried so much. And just to see him in a romantic role like that, oh God.
And he was just like a teddy bear. Like, you just want to like squish his face.
I know. And then when he fainted, and oh my God.
Both times, like the flashback too.
Oh, I know. The kids were really good in that movie. The young actors were really good, but oh my gosh. BJ, it was like seeing him in a completely different way. 96 is my top Tamil film of the entire year. I just love that movie so much. And I know you and I don't have the nostalgia factor that people evidently watching the film do, as far as, 96 means class of 96. So they organize a reunion, and they're all getting together, and they're trying to track down, classmates. Like VJ is a classmate that's kind of disappeared off the radar and not connected with everyone. And it's because of him randomly visiting their old school that kind of spurs them to say, let's get a reunion. And that's kind of amazing, just for everybody to come from all over the world, from Australia and whatever, and converge and have this reunion. And so I guess there's a lot of things, cassette tapes or the music or everything that was so evocative for people who watched the film in Tamil Nadu of like, oh, it's just, and just family or college reunions or whatever school reunions that they've been to. It just was very nostalgic for everyone. So I didn't get that, but just the romance, oh my God. And VJ was like, why does he have so many different looks? And then when you have that haircut scene, oh my God, make him look like a kid. Oh my God.
He was so cute.
He is such a good actor. And then I was lucky to see Sitakati. Did you see that?
I had another distributor not giving the access code fiasco.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, that's one for you to catch up on when it comes on streaming. I mean, the lucky thing is, I don't know what it is, but Amazon Prime, I don't know if you have that, and Netflix, they're like in this war. So we've been getting things sometimes within a month of when they've been in theater on one of the streaming services. And so I hope that will come soon. He's not in the entire film. He's only in about 40 minutes, but he's playing a famous stage actor. And so you see him over a span of years, and it's sort of showing, when he was a young man, that the theaters were full. And then as he's in his 70s, the theater, there's like a dozen people in the theater, even though his acting is still the same. Mm-hmm. And he dies on stage, and then it becomes a dark comedy.
That's so sad.
But it's incredible seeing him do these roles. And so the person I was seeing it with, it's my new movie friend. Her name is Shri Goswami, and she lives in my town, and her father was a famous film director. So she was yes, he won Filmfare Awards. Her mother was Savitri's best friend and was an actress. Her mother's name was Raja Solochana. Yeah, you can look her up. You look her up, yeah. And so we saw Petta together, and she was singing along to all the old songs. But it was amazing seeing Sitakati with her, because she was whispering in my ear like, oh, that's another cameo of a director my mom worked with. That one did work with my mom. That, because there was all these directors in the film that get little cameos. And even Bharadwaj Rangan has a cameo in Sitakati. Really? Yes. There's like amazing. A TV talk show discussing something, and he's on with two film directors. So I was like, even Batty got one. So, but it's a really offbeat film. But I really loved it. But anyway, it was just fun seeing it with her, because she was just I wouldn't have known. I would have thought, okay, these are all different character actors, but they were real directors. And it's just the people I've met through having this YouTube channel, like you, and and on Twitter and whatever. I just love this kind of community that we have, because I don't know if you felt this way, because I think you started watching because you have Indian friends. But when I started watching, I just watched a film on Netflix, Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, and then I'm like, I need to talk about this movie. And I have one Indian neighbor, and then she suggested more, but I was just always had this hunger to talk about it more, to learn about it more. And that's why it's great that we have this community now where I have people to discuss it with. Now I can crowdsource. Like the Gully Boy trailer came out and had no subtitles, and I'm like, and then people were giving me all the subtitles, typing them in for me, which was amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so then the subtitles finally came out, so I did another reaction, but they didn't have the song lyrics, they just had the dialogue subtitled. And so then people gave me the song lyrics, which weren't subtitled. So that's what's amazing. It's like, or frequently Malayalam trailers or Tamil trailers don't have subtitles. And then I'll be like, you don't have to give me word for word, but like, what the heck's going on?
Exactly.
I have someone that I can ask, which is awesome. So like, there's a new Niven Polly trailer that just came out this week. It Michael, but I think I don't know, it's Mikhail, I guess is how you pronounce it in Malayalam. It's people like even did that for me. This is how you pronounce it. I'm like, okay. So yeah, it looks, but there's a scene of somebody in a shower, like a male torso. You don't see the face. I'm like, I love you, Niven, but I know that's not you.
Oh no.
I'm like, it must be the villain or something because you got a little bit of a dad bod going on. So I know that it's not you. I love him, but it's true.
Niven is beautiful.
He is beautiful.
Actually, my best friend went to school with him in Ottawa.
No way.
So I was begging, I was like, please introduce me. And then I think his wife's cousin is related to Amala Paul. And I'm just like, I want to be best friends with them.
So how is he as nice in person as he seems? I mean, I don't know. I just knocked over my microphone. He seems like a very nice person. I've actually been in the same room with him.
Really?
I have, because there was a Malayalam Film Awards ceremony in Chicago. I think it was I don't remember. It was NAFA or something like that. So picture me and Margaret from Don't Call It Bollywood attending this thing at this banquet hall in Chicago. And there's a smattering of English words, but it's basically 3 hours of listening to Malayalam. And so he was there getting an award, and he was so shy and like, I don't know, he looked like he just felt super awkward to be standing on the stage. But Manju Warrior was there. A lot of other people, that now I'm like, oh my gosh. But the biggest thing for me was the guy that sang the Malari song from her mom was there and sang it live. That was like worth the entire thing.
Malare is like the best song.
It's
my
my
such
favorite.
a play on words too, because like it not only means flower, but also in South India, I don't know if you're familiar, but like when you're speaking with someone, but you're like calling them, like I would say Melanie A.
Okay.
So Malare is also kind of like calling her. So it's like it's a nice little play on words too.
That. I love it. Yeah, because it has, I could see he's always trying to get her attention, and perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So that was so worth it for me. Just that moment of him singing that live. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I don't know if I would. Well, I guess if Dolker came back in town, I would be there.
Oh, of course.
I would be there. What am I saying? Of course I would go. So what are some of your favorite films that you saw this year? Tamil films or any films, any Indian films?
My favorite Tamil films this year, obviously 96.
Yeah.
Ratchasan was. Did you see Ratchasan?
I have that. So there's a reason I haven't done it like a top 5 for Tamil, because there's 2 films that I hear. Ratchasan I didn't catch because I would have had to go up to the Movie Max in Niles, and so I didn't catch that one. And the other one is the one with the poster has like a dog and a young boy. Starts with a P. Yeah, something. Yeah,
2 P words.
Yes, that one. So that one is on Netflix, and I want to watch those 2 because I've heard that they are both amazing.
Mm. Ratchasan was, and I made a Twitter post, a tweet. I'm not good at the words, but I made a post about, I was at the interval and I was so excited I didn't want it to end because it was so good. And Vishnu Vishal retweeted it, and I was just like, hello, new best friend.
That's awesome. I know. It never gets old. It never gets old.
No, you've gotten shout outs from, Gagraj from Badaiho and Dolker. How many people have shouted you out now?
Vicky Kaushal.
Really? I missed that one.
And then because I was just like so happy for him that he got to headline this big movie, which I haven't seen yet, the Uri movie, the war movie. And I like my tweet talking about the trailer reaction. And so he sent his love to me as well, just like Dolker. And then the recent one was the lead actor in Tumbad. I caught up on that one, which I normally don't like horror films. But everyone was saying, this is an amazing film. What do you mean you haven't seen this film? It's on Amazon Prime in India and the UK, but for some reason not here. So I watched it on E! Enthuzan. So, And now I'm kicking myself, kicking myself that I didn't see it in a theater, because it's one of those where just the sounds in a dark theater would have just added to the creepiness. Oh man, it was so good. So good. And really original, and such a sense of place that this was an Indian horror film. Like this, it's not just like, okay, this could have been in a New England town with a haunted house. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it had a mythology around Indian gods and everything. It was so good. It was so good. And they had such a low budget, and they used really practical effects and creepy makeup and whatever. It wasn't all, okay, it's CGI, you know. And so I just really admired it. And so, like, he tweeted back, thanks for loving it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Thanks for existing.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many extra benefits. I never would have dreamed any of those things would happen. And I will be flying. I just say to my husband, you're going to have to peel me off the ceiling, because I am just floating on air today. So, yeah, it's been, anyway, so we both really loved Bharat Ani Naino. That was one of my top Telugu films of the year.
Good.
Yeah. Did you happen to be able to see Care of Kancharapalam? It was a small film.
I don't think I
It may
did.
not have come
We
through.
only get the big names.
So that one was interesting. Like, it just came for a weekend, and then it went away, and then it got such word of mouth that it came back. So for a week, and I was able to catch it, and catch up with it on Ian Thuzan or wherever you can, because it's amazing. Just the story behind it is amazing. So it's about a particular place, a town. There's 4 sort of short films within one film. So you get 4 different stories. And then at the end, they reveal how the 4 stories are connected, besides just that they are in the same town. I cried so hard for like 15 minutes all the way home. I was so affected by the film. It just hit me so deeply. Not that it was sad, but it was so beautiful and the way it all came together. I can't even tell you, Samantha. Like, I was so affected by this film. And the story behind it is this woman, I'm blanking on her name right now, the producer of the film, she's a cardiologist who grew up in New York. And she went to film school, but then she's like, okay, and then she went to medical school, and now she teaches at a medical college. And she just kind of had this day after she had worked 80 hours in a week. She's like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to have my dream of making a film. So she used her own money. She flew to India, met some people, met this young director who told her this story. She's like, we're going to make that. And it could show at Cannes. Like, we're going to make it. And she put up her own money, and then one of the actresses dropped out. So then she flew to India. She only had 10 days break, in the winter from her job. And they filmed around the clock, and she then acted in the movie as well, and in one of the key roles in one of the stories.
That's amazing.
And not only
make a movie about her.
Not only that, there's 85 debut actors in the role. So most of the people had never acted on screen before. And a lot of it is centered around this town that has train tracks that divides the town. So that's part of the plot of are you on the other side of the tracks or whatever. And so since trains were constantly going through, they're using sync sound and they had to keep stopping because the train would go through.
Oh no.
So just, filming was not easy because most of the people had full-time jobs and whatever, and they were just then doing it at night after they were finished work. So the whole story behind it is amazing, but I'm telling you have to. That was my top Telugu film.
What was the name again?
Care of Kancharapalam, which is the name of the town. So I don't know if it's a real place or not. I think it is a real place, but oh my gosh, it was such a good. And that's again a benefit of having my channel, because people kept saying, "Have you seen it, Melanie? We know you're gonna like this." And it's they know me well enough to know what kind of films I'm really gonna like, and be like, you don't want to miss this one. And
I've seen your comments. Everyone is so sweet.
That has been a surprise, because really when I started the channel, I just expected I don't know. I mean, you just hear horror stories about women on the internet, and I just felt like I feel like I have a face for radio. I'm not like a pretty young thing like you and
Oh no.
skinny. Well, come on. Like I thought everybody like, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, what? And really, I no, I really thought there would just be abuse or just like, what do you think? How do you think you have any right to speak on Indian film? You know what I mean? I thought I would. I get some of that, but yeah, because like the recent one where I was complaining that Gully Boy didn't have subtitles, I was like, well, why didn't you learn the language? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, let me learn every like 1,000 languages of India.
But I mean, my point was, Gully Boy is being shown at the Berlinale Film Festival. If you're going to be in a film festival, which is in spring, you're going to have subtitles. For a world audience, and your trailer needs to have subtitles. So, like, get it together. But, anyway, I have been amazed how mostly it's just overwhelmingly positive, but it's overwhelming. Like, I don't know if in my lifetime I will be able to see all the films that have been recommended to me. They're like, you have to see this. You have to see this. What do you mean you haven't seen this? I'm like, it's on the list. It's on the list. Like Vijay Sethupathi, the Amnesia one, that I definitely want to see. But I mean, how many films has he made? Or Mohanlal. Everybody's like, what do you mean you haven't seen this? I'm like, the man has made over 300 films. Like,
I think it was either Mohanlal or Mammootty. I don't remember which one, but in like 1986 alone, they released almost 250 movies. And I was just like, how?
Well,
Not 250, maybe 25.
Yeah, probably 25. Even Prithviraj, like how many he's made, he's a young man in his 30s. He's made over 200 films. Like,
except for that one Hindi movie. I hated the Hindi movie he was in.
Yeah? Or
yeah,
no?
Like, I love Ronnie. I love him. But I felt like he was kind of, like, over-sexualized.
Yeah, that's the good part, Samantha. That's the good part. That's what I went, wait a minute. Who is this guy? What? No, actually, that was not his first Hindi film. He was in Aurangzeb, which was Arjun Kapoor's debut movie. Arjun Kapoor has a double role as an evil twin and a good twin, and Prithviraj plays a cop in that film.
That's amazing.
It's actually a quite interesting film just to see Arjun Kapoor. I mean, sometimes right now I feel like he's being kind of lazy and just playing himself and whatever in the movies, like Half Girlfriend. And I'm like,
Half Girlfriend I was the only person in the theater.
I just, I love him, but I'm like, oh, please do better scripts, please.
I like Two States, though. I think he did
I love it.
But his eyes are always so droopy. He looks drunk all the time.
I mean, his weight goes up and down, and, but yeah, like Two States, I think, is my favorite. And I'm, anyway, so this Aurangzeb was earlier than that. It was his first one. And like, he's really trying hard. You know what I mean? He's trying to prove himself. So, and then the film that he did with Pariniti Chopra, Ishqazad. Have you seen that one? That one.
Is that the one with the dowry? Oh, no, that's the Romeo and Juliet kind of movie.
Yeah. And so he plays a little dark in that one, but also he just has that intensity. And he and Pariniti had really strong chemistry in that one. I know. I love her too. So, I felt like the Hindi movies this year, it was interesting because some of the smaller films that were really content driven, had good scripts were the successes. So were you able to see Bud Hi Ho or Undone?
I did. Yeah. I saw both of them, and it was just like, I mean, and it added to like the cons flopping this year. It was just like a complete like new era of Bollywood. I was really, really happy to not happy to see them flop, but like happy to see a new voice be able to enter the scene.
Right. And did you see Simba at the end of the year?
I didn't. It didn't show here.
Oh no!
Somehow, I don't know how. We don't have a huge Hindi population. So.
Well, To me, I mean, it's very, especially being a fan of South Indian. You see, Rohit Shetty is. I haven't seen Temper, which is the Junior NTR Telugu film, which evidently is mostly based on that. I've heard there's certain things that are shot for shot the same, but evidently the ending is slightly different and so forth. But I think Ranveer Singh fits in that kind of masala universe perfectly.
He does.
His energy and so this was the first time where I felt like, okay, he's basically in this film, it's all on his shoulders. I mean, Sono Sood was the villain and everything, which he's a perfect villain, but this, he wasn't sharing it. It's like mostly Deepika, and then he's the bad guy or whatever, like Padmavat or Bajrang Mastani. Again, he was sharing. I mean, he was very, very good in those films. But I felt like the zaniness of a Rohit Shetty film, because he's just so funny, especially in the first half, it just totally fit with Ranveer Singh's personality and his talents. And I was like, this is a match that's good. Rohit Shetty and Ranveer Singh. I mean, have you ever seen Lutera? One of his earlier films?
Was that the one with Sonakshi?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he's talented. But, yeah, so I was pleased for him that and Sarah Ali Khan does very well in this.
How is she? Does she live up to the hype? I haven't seen anything of hers yet.
In a word, yes. So it's Simba, because she's just the love interest. She doesn't have as much screen time. They do have good chemistry between them. But Kedarnath, that came out a few weeks previous with Sushant Singh Rajput, she owns the movie. Like, yeah. I mean, you are seeing a star. Like, she has it. She has that it factor. Even in the first trailer where she had no words, I'm like, I can't take my eyes off her when she's on screen. Like, she's just got it. And she, her bloodline, her father is Saif Ali Khan, her mother was a famous star in the 80s. Like, she's got that X factor and she wants it. Like, you can tell she's
amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
she's so cute.
She's so cute. She was adorable with her dad on Coffee with Karan. And,
very diplomatic too.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's good that she's more mature coming out than a lot of most actresses just come straight out because they have that path for them. But I think that she's a lot more mature because of that.
Yeah, she definitely, I mean, Janvi sort of sometimes looked like a deer in the headlights. I mean, there was obviously a lot going on in her life with her mother passing. But even so, Sarah, she's got it. She's got it. So I'll be excited to see what other things that she does. And us being from America, we know what it means that she got into Columbia and New York and that she got a degree there, because that's not some slack school. She has to have the smarts to get into a school like that. So, it makes her a little more worldly too. She has a different perspective. What are some of the other so Wachasan you enjoyed? Did you like the Mani Ratnam film, the gangster epic? Were you able to see that one that had Vijay in it, or
which one was it?
Oh,
I don't think
it was like 3 words. One began with a V. Then
CCV.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it. The time didn't match up with my availability. That's on my list though.
I didn't love it, and I don't know, even Vijay, you were not totally rooting for his character in that film. Yeah, I love Mani Ratnam films. I've probably seen like 13 of his films, and it's not my favorite of his. But it was interesting to see Arvid Svarmi as kind of he was almost like a Tony Soprano kind of a character. And, I mean, I've seen him in things like Mona Rangam, so, as a young man. So, it was like, wow. I guess he was out of films for a while, and then now he's come back, and it was really interesting seeing him in a role like that. What about Vada Chennai? Did that come to your town?
I love Vada Chennai. I'm obsessed with Dinush ever since the movie 3 came out, because, like the viral Why This Cola Very D, everyone saw it. And so ever since then, I've been like, he's a beautiful man.
He's so skinny. He's so slight, but he just has that presence about him. And he, I didn't get to see, Mari 2 did not play in local theater. I think it may have been up at Niles. And I love
Sai Pallavi.
I know, I love her. Did you get to see that one? Or
I didn't get to see it. I think the last movie I saw with her in it was, I think,
oh,
Molly.
did you see Fada?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. What?
If
Okay.
it doesn't open here, then I have to wait, and then I forget by the time it comes out. And
Okay. So let me recommend to you her Telugu debut was a
Mm,
film called Fida, and she
mm.
plays a village girl, and evidently she completely nailed the Telangana rural accent. I
That's
mean,
amazing to
besides
do.
just speaking in Telugu, that she nailed the accent. And her co-star is Varun Tej, who was in Totally Prima, which was like my favorite Telugu romance of the entire year. But anyway, he was just okay in Fida, but Sai is like, and it had an amazing soundtrack. Her dance number for Vichandi, I think it was called. Oh my gosh! Like I was listening to that on repeat all the time. So
She's amazing at dancing.
she is amazing, and she just really blasted her way. And I was sorry not to catch up with Mari too. I watched the first Mari just to kind of get an idea of what this character was. And I'm really curious to see the two of them on screen, but it's probably going to have to wait until it comes on streaming, and then I will catch up with it. But Vada Chennai, yeah, I mean, it's just what a contrast between the two different kinds. If you've seen Mari, it's like a very over the top kind of gangster kind of thing, and then Vada Chennai, which is so intense and
And the mullet.
oh my gosh, that film! There was so much. I heard that there was actually 5 hours shot, and they edited it down to the 3 hours.
Oh my God. Well, there's so much. There were so many
much
characters. I was getting like a headache trying to keep track of everyone. Like,
evidently they could do
the
a
foundation.
whole like mini series, web series on or a whole nother movie on just the flashback person, what I loved about that film also was that the women were so strong. The women had strong characters in that film.
Who was the widow? I thought she was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm blanking on her name too, but I agree. So many strong women in that film, and because I was complaining about, I don't know if you saw KGF, the big Canada film.
It didn't come here somehow. I don't know how.
Well, it was, again, gangster period kind of thing. But there's just a woman that's just kind of like there to look pretty. And then there's his mother, who's a couple short flashbacks. But otherwise, it's a testosterone fest. It's good. But when I mention that, people are like, well, there's no part for women to be in a movie like this. I'm like,
you can write one.
I'm like, Vada Chennai proves that you're wrong. Because that was a movie just as violent, just as steeped in a period film about gangsters, and it had strong women roles, so you can do it. I really liked that film very much. I thought that was really strong, and Danush is just such a good actor. He has such a range. He can be very comedic. It's dancing. I know. I mean, his dancing is so good. And even though I don't know how old he is, but when he shaves and has like Rajinikanth, like he looks like he's 12. Like I don't know how old he is, but if he shaves, then he's like, you're like, okay, I can believe he's 15 years old because he's just so youthful looking. And I didn't know until, I don't know, some months ago, somebody's like, that he's Rajinikanth's son-in-law. I'm like, what?
That'd be terrifying to be Rajinikanth's son-in-law. Like, honestly.
But I don't know if he was somebody before that connection was made, because from what I understand, like I said, talking to my new friend Shri, she said, she grew up in Chennai, and she's like, all of the movie stars lived around each other. This will make you laugh. She's like, oh yeah, she went to school with Mahesh Babu's older sisters. And she's like, oh, yeah, I remember when he would just come with the nanny and he was like 5 years old and the ears were sticking out. Oh. And she's like, he was so cute. And she's like, look at him. He's a big star now. But I mean, it's that level. Like she went, one of her school buddies was the mom in Bahubali. Like, like from the beginning was the queen. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So they all grew up around each other. And I think, that may be true with Danush, and like he just maybe grew up in the area where Rajinikanth was and knew his daughter. I don't know, but it's just interesting because it's so. Maybe that's the way it is in LA. I don't
Well, I
know.
know that's the way it is in Malayalam films also. My friend who's from Alawa, a lot of people he went to school with, even though it wasn't like a super rich people or anything, a lot of them were actually they're in the film industry now, and even his dad has a shop outside the train station in Ernakulam, which I might not be pronouncing right, but he has a shop outside of it, and he said one actress was just like, "Hey, I went to school with your son. Can you hold on to my phone for a minute?" So, just like everyone knows each other.
Yeah, it is different, but I think it is kind of like that in LA. My best friend here, she grew up in LA, and like her sister was best friends with Julie Andrews' daughter, and Leonard Nimoy drove preschool carpool, and so she had to sit. She said she was terrified of Leonard Nimoy. It was like the old bench seats. She had to sit right next to him, and she was afraid he would like have the ears. So I think it is just different if you're kind of living in a company town for films. Everybody knows each other, but it's always that's another thing I love is that my viewers and the community, like, they fill me in on all of this because there's just all this background knowledge that everyone just kind of assumes that know the connections, or that Ali Abad, his father is a famous director or whatever. You know what I mean? That to understand why, oh yeah, that's movie kid. That's
Yeah, it's a poor dynasty.
Yeah, just although I respect Alia very much.
Oh, I love her.
The first film, I mean, I saw Student of the Year, and I was just like, okay, she's just like this bimbo airhead, whatever, and then
like that could be how she is in real life. Well, rich, beautiful girl. Wow.
Right, and then I saw Highway. That closing scene where she confronts the family. Oh my gosh. And
I'm
then
getting goosebumps thinking about it.
And then Utta Punjab.
That was amazing. I thought the ensemble cast that they had for all the characters and how it showed like each different role in kind of a drug epidemic. I thought it was really well done and a good message that kids should have.
Yeah, that was a very good message to that film, and amazing performances. And Shahid Kapoor was supposed to be more comedic, but he was really good in that too. And then Rozzy this year, were you able to see Rozzy?
I was. I love her.
Yes.
And Vicky.
I felt
so bad for him.
I did too. And so there was a woman that directed and wrote that film, Meghna Gulzar. And I think it's partially because it was a woman's touch to think about. It wasn't just, okay, I was interested in like the spy procedural stuff, like the practicalities of how she would do the wiring and how she could hide stuff in her bathroom. And like, I mean, there was so much tension in that film. Like you were on the edge of your seat, but you saw she's married into a real family and they're not evil. They just feel the same way about their country that she does about hers, And it showed the emotional toll that it took. You really felt the sacrifices that she had to make to do what she had to do. And then the funny thing is, like, the intelligence that she took from her father-in-law and everything. I then saw the Ghazi attack later this year on streaming. And the Ghazi attack is about the submarine that she is, you know what I mean? It's like yes. So it's the intelligence that she finds then leads to the Ghazi attack, about knowing that there's a Pakistani submarine that's going to attack. So Rana Dugabati is on the Hindi, the Indian submarine, and all of the drama with the cat and mouse of the two submarines. But it was just funny to like see the two movies in the same year and be like, oh yeah, that's what that was about. But I just thought she was so good, and it was such a strong year for women in the Hindi film industry. I mean, she was Vera De Wedding. Were you able to see that one?
Oh, I was. I love it. I love Sonam.
I know
people call her Flopnum on Twitter, but I love her.
What? I'm really looking forward to her film coming out in a few weeks with her father. Have you seen the trailer for that?
The LGBT movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so pumped about it.
I'm so pumped about it too. I love when she was on Coffee with Karan. She's definitely. It's not just going to be a message movie. I mean, it'll be an entertaining film, I'm sure. But the fact that she's taking a stand and putting her stardom and her family behind it, this message, I think is absolutely awesome. And I
It really
love,
is.
and Raj Kumar Rao is perfect. I'm wondering if, other male stars may have shied away from doing that kind of a plot or being involved in that kind of a film, but he was in Aligarh as the journalist, talking to Manoj Pai's gay professor that was fired for homosexuality. So I think he probably leaped at the role. Like, yeah, where do I sign up? Let's do it. So I'm excited to see the two of them together. I'm pleased for Raj Kumar Rao that he's getting more and more lead roles and not just like little art films. I love
He
him in
deserves
those
it.
two, but he totally deserves it. Did you see Stree?
I didn't,
Oh
but
my
I
God.
love Shraddha. I'm so sad I didn't get to see it. I have it in my list.
Yeah, you need to catch up on it because speak of a subversive message. That film was written by the same guys who wrote A Gentleman. And I think actually they're based in the U.S., so which is also kind of interesting. But it's about Stree means woman, so and it's a woman's spirit that's haunting the town. And the funny thing is, all the men are the ones that get scared, and they're scared to go out at dark at night. And there's one
Nice
particular
reversal.
scene that I will never forget where a wife is leaving and the husband is like, well, how long are you going to be alone? Oh, gone. You're going to leave me here all alone? I'm scared. And she's like, it'll be all right. I'll be back in an hour. Just like, just don't answer the door. And it's just everything is turned on its head. It's the men that are scared to go out at night. It's the men that are scared to go through the dark streets. And, it just has that subversive message underneath, and it just stays with you, but yet it's totally hilarious. Because you can imagine Raj Kumar Rao being frightened and like how insanely good. And one of his friends is Ayushmann Khurrana. I didn't realize Ayushmann Khurrana's brother plays one of his friends. So
Really?
yeah, so I didn't realize he is an actor too. And until I saw like a interview clip on YouTube, I'm like, wait. And it was just like the Khurrana brother. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize this. So I mean, he's very funny in it too, but it has Pankaj Tripathi it also is in Stree. Is sort of the almost every horror movie has like the professor type who thinks he knows everything and pulls out the dusty books and is like, well, this is really what's happening. But he's just so funny in it. I love him. He's one of my standout actors of this year, support character actors. And then the father in Bad Hai Ho.
He was amazing.
He stole the whole movie.
He did. And it was like, I don't even have words. Because he's been in a lot of movies, but he's always had a pretty small role. And I think this really maybe propelled him to get more, like, better role options.
And I hope so. And that's the kind of movie that could have been just around Ayushmann and just a few minutes of time of the parents. And instead, the movie had significant time about their relationship, their loving relationship. And, you know me, I'm an older middle-aged woman. It was nice to see just such a loving relationship, marriage like that. On screen, it was so well done. The actress that played the grandma, she was
She's always so angry.
yeah. But I think that that scene when she finally stands up for her daughter-in-law, it's that's really the daughter-in-laws do go through everything, and then she's like, listen, were you there on the hospital floor by my bed staying with me like she was? She's been through with me through thick and thin, and where have you been? And she really lays it on the line, because there does always seem to be that one person in every family that just it does for everyone,
Yeah.
and doesn't always get appreciated for that. So I really loved that whole, and it was just such a good script. But there's no one like Ayushmann to kind of play that put upon, just like, what? kind of a character. Like he's the king of that.
He really is.
What movies are you looking forward to coming up in the new year that you've been hearing about?
In the new year, I've been trying to find lists of, because I haven't, Hindi movies don't come out here very much, so I haven't been following the new ones coming out as much. But I know there's an ensemble with Alia and some other people, isn't there? And then there's the Alia Ranbir movie.
Yeah. Gully Boy, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, Gully Boy.
That comes out in a few weeks, and that comes out Valentine's Day actually. And I had the thought in my head that I might ask my husband to go with me. He never goes to any. You don't know how lucky you are to have someone that will watch the films with you. He never comes to anything. I made him go to Bahubali. So that one, he saw the second one in the theater and he watched the first one at home. I was like, it's Mother's Day. This is what I want. I want you to all come with me. But he loves rap and hip hop. So I actually think he'll probably just say it's derivative of 8 Mile, but he might actually be interested in the film since it's that kind of music that he likes. So anyway, I have loved having you on this conversation. I hope we can do more like these again because it was very fun. And I wish you hearty congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you. I wish you could come to the wedding.
I know. I wish I could too. I have so many life events in my own family in May. It's just too difficult. I have 2 sons graduating, one from college and one from high school, and there's just so much going on. It's going to be really busy. But anyway, I loved having you on. I enjoy your movie reviews, but I understand why you're not doing as many YouTube videos because I'm looking forward to reading your book because I think it'll be so interesting. Have you finished the manuscript, or are you still working on writing it, or?
I'm like 2/3 done, but it's really hard to put actual experiences and actual dialogues into something that's interesting, because like day-to-day stuff isn't always interesting, but like I want to it's a really hard blend.
Yeah, like the little details that you found interesting and how to incorporate that into a scene or a dialogue or something. I get it. Well, I wish you the best with it, and I'm looking forward to reading it when it comes out. So tell everyone where they can find you. You are on Twitter at
non-Samantha. It's not non-bread. It's non like I am in Tamil. I've gotten that mixed up a lot.
Well, not like non-bread. I love it.
Yeah, they're like, why are you named after bread? But I mean, I use Twitter primarily as a learning resource.
So yeah, she's always looking for people to practice Tamil with, but as long as you're not creepy.
Yeah, I put that disclaimer a lot.
No creeps wanted. And you're on Quora as Samantha Ryan and what?
And Instagram is Samantha Jo Goes, but I don't really post this. I don't know if it counts. You can edit that out if you want.
And so some of her videos are probably on her channel, but she has an extensive library of some of her experiences of her trips to India on her YouTube channel, which is also Samantha Jo Goes. And you can find me on Twitter at Pardesi YT, and of course Pardesi Reviews on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining me.